So the markets are crashing. Bitcoin, altcoins, the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Nikkei, everything. It's just getting lower. And this is all due to the fact that Donald Trump is bringing in a lot of tariffs, and it really is upsetting the market a lot. In this video, I'm going to show you what's going on, why it's important, why the Fed might step in, and more importantly, my plan, what I'm doing over the course of this period in time. And if you are panicking, wait till the end. I'll show you what I'm doing, literally. It will help you. It'll change how you see the markets forever. Now, before we go on, I want to just say this one thing. This is not isolated to crypto. This is across the entire globe. It is not isolated, okay? Risk off everywhere. Gold is shooting. We'll talk about that as well. So yeah, let's strap in. Let's see why this is bloody happening. So as you can see on the screen, it is literally bloodbath central. It's everywhere, right? Markets fear, the drive of the sell-off, and the Fed rate cut. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Wow, it's crazy. So basically, long story short, tariffs have come in. They've somewhat, as you can imagine, made things go a bit mental. There's dedicated elements around the tariffs and stuff and what tariffs are, why they're important, the whole situation, the recession odds, everything. It's getting worse and worse. And the way I look at this feels like a really interesting dynamic for the entire market, right? And we can see this in real time. It is playing out right now. And that's where the situation is. So we have to be very mindful. Now, again, as I've alluded to it is not just a, oh God, Bitcoin's crashing, altcoins are crumbling. It's not that. It's everything. The FTSE is even coming down. And, let's be honest, I'm in the UK. It's not great sometimes, but ultimately, one thing that is important, the tariffs in the UK aren't as bad versus the rest of the world. And we're still feeling the pain. So it is very interesting. So where does this lead us to? Well, let's talk about the obvious in the room. Rate cuts. Now, this is kind of a situation that we find ourselves in. Now, this is massively changed over the last couple of days. It was 33% on the 4th of April. 14% for a cut in March. It's changed a lot. A lot. As in a bigger cut, that end. So things have changed. But let's go back in time a little bit. Let's talk about something that Donald Trump said not too long ago. He said this on the 20th of March. The Fed should cut rates to ease the economy's transition to his tariffs. He openly said this. This was a bit of a warning shot. And I feel like this is where we're going. It feels like a controlled demolition. Let's get the markets down. Let's force the hand of the Fed. Let them step in with an emergency rate cut to allow things to happen in his situation. The problem we have is unfounded belief in a way. We may well get a big problem. The problem might actually be, as much as this is all turmoil, with the tariffs we might see increased inflation. So we're going to see lower interest rates, higher inflation, and that's going to make the market even worse. Maybe that's a problem we need to keep an eye on. Let's get on to some technicals. If you enjoy this stuff, please do leave a like. It helps massively, helps the algorithm, it helps push the video. Also comment. I want to know what you're doing. I'm hoping you're going to say, I'm buying. Buy stuff in panic. We'll talk about that in more detail. Stick around, right? So this is Bitcoin. This is my analysis that I've had for a while now. We're going towards that little untapped liquidity zone. And it looked like a kind of an obvious drop when you think about in now sort of situations, right? We've had a nice big pullback. It's corrected. This is about a 30% correction, which is relatively normal for Bitcoin. But the situation is everything else looks even worse. Now, I've said this before in previous videos. I said it on my Patreon. Feel free to jump in on the link below. I've said it on Learning Crypto live streams. Normally when the S&P drops like 15% or something or whatever, you tend to see that Bitcoin will drop double or triple or even more than that. Hasn't happened. We've actually held up relatively well until today, which is important, right? So obviously, yes, you can look at the S&P 500, you can look at the Nasdaq and stuff, but over the course of Thursday, Friday, last week, we're actually doing all right. But this is where we are. This is the big level, and I've been talking about this quite openly, and people have been giving me a lot of stick about it, going, "Oh, get over it." Don't get greedy at that level, though. Don't think it's going to go lower. Just, if that level comes in, or if you're around that level, and like even today, I've bought on the dollar cost averaging account, I bought more because I thought it was at roughly 75,000. I thought, I'm just going to buy some. Why not? It's worth it in doing that sense. So look at that situation. But right now, The structure hasn't changed. There's no change in structure. I feel we're going to go lower. That's my overall opinion, and I'll talk about my plan in a bit. But if we're looking at the weekly structure, we went for a retest. Are we going to go a bit lower? Is this going to be a level? Are we going to go to 67? Are we going to go to 56? I don't want to be too bearish, but I'm just saying these are levels of interest. It could be of interest, and we could fall back into this range again, back in like which it was boring, wasn't it? Let's just remember that one. So be mindful of that. Other things we have to look at. Let's be honest here. We have to look at two very clear and cut and obvious things. This is the S&P 500. I know, it's horrible. But this is where we are. Again, levels of structure came in perfectly. We went lower than I think in terms of like overall kind of situations right now. The Nasdaq is down currently 6%. It's quite crazy. And this is the S&P 500. It really has taken a battering, okay? And it feels like the opportunities are coming. This is where the mindset needs to be kind of on point to allow you to buy said dips, because these potentially could be very, very good, juicy opportunities when you think of the bigger picture. I'll talk about that in a minute. But let's look at the other ones as well. Obviously, the Nasdaq we need to look at. Oh, God. That is a honking move. That is just ridiculous. That has gone all the way. It's just basically wiped off nearly a year's worth of gains in a matter of what? 5-week candles? That's mental, right? So that's kind of where we are. As I've alluded to it before in previous kind of, videos, we always have to look at Japan. Oh. So everything's going a bit south right now. The Russell as well, that's just absolutely nuked itself. And if you remember my previous video, as I say, subscribe so you don't miss out, I talked about bull market over, i.e. the S&P 500 bull market, by the way, if you're wondering. That has just nuked through it. Completely went, nah, not even interested right now. So what's happening? Well, everything's acted a little bit weird apart from gold. However, gold has somewhat corrected and really corrected hard on this weekly time frame, by the way. So let's remove the noise. This could get interesting. Where's the liquidity going to go from here? I don't know. That's the situation, right? We want everything, well, I'll say everything, we want Bitcoin to act like gold, not like the S&P 500. That would help massively. So in terms of the technicals, this is showing the sign that, oh my God, the market's crumbling. Let's put our money into a safer place. Well, that's usually gold. That's given us one big alert. The other big alert is the fact of obviously what Donald Trump is saying. Interest rates. Oh, tariffs. They're good. They're healthy. We're going to win. We're going to win. It's going to be fine. Just be mindful. Who is Donald Trump's friends? Rich people, right? What are they doing? Probably putting their money into gold. Why? Because it's safer. What for? To buy again low at the possible opportunities in the future. That's where it gets interesting, right? So you're probably wondering as well, what do I do with my altcoins? Well, the altcoins are even worse right now, right? Altcoins are somewhat dying. You can see that this has not been due to the fact of tariffs. It's been like this for a while. Dominance is still rising. There's still no sign of weakness anywhere near shape or form. There's no liquidity coming into these altcoins at all. It's getting worse. Ethereum dominance is now 7.57% of the market. Oh God, it's crumbling. And yeah, if you've been buying altcoins on these dips, just brace yourself because it could get a lot worse. Just be mindful of that. I learned the hard way in the FTX crash by buying more altcoins than Bitcoin. I shouldn't have done that. I should have done the other way around. Some of them didn't bounce. We had a $99 Solana before. What on earth? Be mindful of this market. It's brutal. But, as I say, you could make some money here. Now, what am I doing? Probably what you're really interested in. I've been moving some money around this morning. I am quite heavy in cash in my ISA. The ISAs have literally just rotated around, which is quite nice. And guess what? I put some money in my cash ISA to sit on the cash. I'm waiting for the UK dividend stocks to drop, and then I'm going to buy some more. Why not? I've also bought some Bitcoin this morning, my dollar cost averaging account, and with my other monies as well. Because I'm just looking at this price thinking, why not? What's the point? I look at Bitcoin as a way of keeping my wealth, right? Sadly, I bought years ago, 2016. I get taxed quite a lot if I sell. It's just the reality of it, right? So I'd rather have more units and then sell when it's higher so I can sell less units so I don't get taxed as much, realistically, right? But think of the bigger picture. This is where the mindset comes in. As much as I love to buy certain things and like to make money, reality is you got to think of the bigger picture. It doesn't happen overnight, okay? When we zoom out on some of these charts and we look at like how the Bitcoin market's gone through multiple bull and bear markets, the S&P 500 as well, you got to think of this as like just another blip. Remember that thing called COVID that happened? The market's really, really recovered from that point. And that was a global pandemic we've never seen before. Tariffs we've had before. We had a dump in the last time we had tariffs, right? It's just one of those things. So try not to panic sell. Another thing is mindset of quitting and being in the market. A lot of people quit. YouTube's quiet right now. If you're watching these videos, you're probably one of the few people that's probably going to benefit in the future. When all your friends are like happily buying cheese and wine and celebrating the weekend and you're grinding away and you're buying dips, in 10 years' time, you might be one hell of a rich person because you've committed yourself to it. That's the situation here. This could well be the biggest blip you've ever seen, right? As well as that, look at the fact that the VIX is flying up to the moon right now. The volatility is here. The market's really, really strong for traders, which brings me on to why you should probably trade more. If you are interested in trading, I recommend this account, Blowfin. It's great. UK Open. You get 20% back on your fees. So if you're trading, if you're buying spot, if you're trying to sell, 20% of them fees will come back into your wallet directly. So you can reinvest them. It's a good idea, isn't it? Do it. Now I know, market's not easy. Most people blow themselves up in the market, not because of the charts, it's because they're not trained for the chaos, so to speak, right? That's kind of the reality of it. You know, greedy little piggies get slaughtered. You know, bullish, bearish. If you get a bit too greedy, you will get slaughtered. That's just the reality of the market. You need to have conviction that's tested. You need to understand that your conviction in market crashes will be tested. Why am I still here? What am I still doing? Why did I buy that? You need to zoom out. If you're bullish on crypto, you should be bullish on Bitcoin. If you're bullish on Bitcoin, why are you selling? Simple as that. That's kind of the reality of it, right? And these crashes, right, as daft as this sounds, they happen all the time. Just mentioned it before, one of the big ones. We have multiple corrections. It always happens. This is where wealth is made. Reality is of that. You know, it's history. And you don't win in this game by being reactive. You don't. You have to win by being prepared, patient, unfazed. And the plan is everything. And the mindset is the edge, right? Over time, with experience, your mindset will get programmed to it, and it's like it becomes normal. I like days like this. Most people know me as a bit of a bear. Most of my trading starts as shorts. It's just the way I am. Enjoy it, embrace it. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and obviously leave a comment and let me know what your thoughts are on the market. I'd love to know. There's a video I'm recommending here. Might help you with some situations around Bitcoin dominance, certainly right now.